Tito, you're welcome. Um, why do you get the name Tito? I mean, it sounds like that Barcelona manager who think they do very well there.
That's actually an interesting question. Um, my dad was in the army. He did a lot of traveling, so he picked up a lot of names. Yeah. I'm from a polygamous home. We all have like different foreign names. Mine is actually Tito. It's Spanish. It means wealth. I have a brother that bears Pacino. There's one that bears Romel. There's Pinochet. There's Samora. There's a lot of foreign names in my house. So it was because of he traveled a lot. That's why he just picked up names and decided to give his kids.
Did you travel with him as well?
No, that was usually that was when I was a kid, and it was military related. So it wasn't like a vacation of sorts. So, he did it with his regiment and all of that. Yeah.
Which branch of the army did you work with?
It's Nigerian Army. So he went to this what's it called? Foreign aids, missions that they sent Nigerian armies to. So it was part of the
Okay. Because the name Tito is very...
I get that a lot actually.
Yeah, So, but you go to church, right?
Yes, I do. Occasionally.
Are you aware of how pastors these days have been weighing on the election here in Nigeria? And in fact, there was a particular pastor that came out once, and then he mentioned, I think that should be Pastor Chris of Christ Embassy.
Yeah.
He mentioned how he
believes that the winner name is in the Bible, like the winner of the election should be in the Bible. Yeah.
In fact, he mentioned 3 revelations. Revelations about the 3 candidates.
Yeah.
He said the first candidate was a thief. Okay, no, he said one of the candidates was a thief.
Okay.
He said the other candidate was being influenced by a spirit or demon of mockery called Jackal. And then that the third candidate was scared that he would not win.
Yeah.
And then he prayed to God that God should give him wings to fly.
Yeah.
And that the candidate's name is in the Bible. Now it has made many obedience go wild, believing that. But do you think that pastors should be involved in politics in this manner?
When it comes to election season, it's a very, very sensitive subject. But when you look at the time we're in, most people look at this election as, a deciding moment for our future. It's time to change the narrative and make a decision that would affect our, future generations, right? So I feel most, preachers and pastors feel like they have to, say something to encourage their members to, towards the right direction or how they feel or the direction they feel is the right one. And I see nothing wrong with that, okay? Because when you look at other religion, by other religion, I mean the Muslim religion, right? The imam, they tell their members, you should support this person, Allah, maintaining our, religion in our country and all of that. So I feel like there's nothing really wrong in it. So long as you're not compelling them, you can say, I feel this person will do a good job. This person possesses this kind of qualities. He should make a good leader. I think that's fine. And it doesn't matter the particular candidates, So it's left for them to decide.
But the challenge with men of God coming in to weigh in and even tell us who they think will win is because they oftentimes say things that people take to be what God has to say about the election.
They have a lot of influence.
Yes, they have a lot of influence, and it's because the influence they have is because they are seen to be the mouthpiece of God. And so when they come in and weigh in by supporting in one candidate or supporting the other candidate, firstly, it seems to suggest something ungodly or something that points to the thing being fake. Because if truly they are all men of God, then they should all say one thing. But when you have one man of God supporting one candidate, you have another man of God supporting another candidate, then they cannot all be true. They may have to be liars among them. And I think at the end of the day, the church suffers for it. It suffers for it because it delegitimizes the truthfulness
Of the
of God and
ministry.
even what religion
Yes.
really is. For critics, it only points to why pastors should not be seen the way.
Involving in politics. all of that.
Yes, yes.
But I have to come in there. I feel, especially when it comes to men of God having an opinion in politics and encouraging their members to vote a certain candidate, it shouldn't be that God said or I had a revelation. It should be like, in my opinion, I feel with this number of candidates we have, and it's my opinion, this particular candidate ticks a lot of boxes that I feel, like that's what I'm saying, it has to be like an opinion. This is not influenced by God told me I had a revelation. I don't like that. Let's leave, God out of the elections. We are the one voting. Okay, it's an intentional act by us, right? Say it that way. Like I think this particular candidate will make the right, leader for us. He possesses this quality, this quality, this quality. But however, it's your choice. Okay, we all have that, right to vote for whichever candidate we want. But I feel this is the candidate that should,
If I was a man of God, I wouldn't do that,
What?
even though it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Because I think the allure for any man of God,
Yeah.
or if I'm going to believe you as a man of God,
Right.
or if I want people to take me to be God's man,
Yeah.
somehow I have to be correct almost all the time. Because God, the way we see God,
Yeah.
we see God as one who knows tomorrow, and God cannot be wrong about tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so, as God's man, I rather want, not being sure of tomorrow, I rather want to do like that Greek God. And
Yeah.
there's a story I heard, or was it Greek God also? But I learned of a people that went to consult a fortune teller.
Yeah.
So consult the fortune teller on the fate of the war they were to go into.
All right.
Is a very, very long time ago. And when they asked the fortune teller who will win the war, the fortune teller replied by saying that the stronger team will win. So, when you arrange your talk that way, it's in such a way that if you lose, it was because when you were not the stronger team,
Yeah.
so the gods did not lie.
You make it very vague.
Yes.
So you cannot be.
Yes, and it's similar to the case of this Pastor Paul Adefarasi of
Yeah.
Fast on the Rock. Pastor Chris gave his own revelation many days ago. Then Adefarasi came up, I think on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then for him, he gave the parable of
Yeah.
Saul and David.
Yeah.
He said before David, there was a Saul.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so for Christ's sake, and people are confused. Also, is Tinubu Saul or who is David? And then, in fact, it now seems, and that let's seem as if eventually whoever wins. So if Tinubu wins, it will be like Buhari was the Saul, is the David. And then if Obi wins, we don't know who was the Saul, who was the David, and then eventually can be interpreted in many ways.
But the thing with his parable, because you have to consider context. Before he started the parable, he said, this election might be disappointing to a lot of people, right? He started that way. That what we want, we might not see that. Before he started saying, before Saul, it was David. And now, we know the people's choice. Majority of the people's choice.
Even his church. Did you watch the video of Peter Obi in his church?
No, I didn't.
Jesus Christ. When Peter Obi went to House on the Rock, and then him, the pastor, I think in his church they call him the senior pastor for the Metropolitan Church. Yeah. So when he said, okay, so is the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, everywhere went wild.
Yeah.
People went mad. And so even his church is predominantly, from what we saw in that video.
So when you start like that, you already get the idea. So when he says it's a parable, and he also came on Twitter, he said it's a parable that a lot of people are taking it out of context, that he didn't say that the Saul is possibly Tinubu. The Saul could be Buhari. Yeah. But if we are putting context and the circumstance around the parable, you can say with all honesty that he was suggesting that we have to go through Saul for David. David being Obi, that Saul wasn't really a bad
guy.
yeah. You see,
Yes.
I mean, context, you can tell what he was going at. So I don't think the parable was to maintain a certain form of neutrality. So however it goes, he can say that Buhari is. But if we're being honest and objective, he was suggesting that Tinubu would be.
And that's corny in a way.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. It's disingenuous. A lot of people saw it for what it is, and I believe that was why he was trying to backtrack and say people misunderstood it and all of that. So yeah, but on that point, yeah, you're saying pastors shouldn't weigh in, especially when it comes to politics, given that it's a very sensitive subject and they should only have an opinion when they are completely certain that God gave them this instruction, and it should be uniform amongst all the pastors.
I think that's the test to know that they're all hearing from God.
Exactly.
Uniformity is the test that
I get that. That's why I said earlier that they should give their opinion. They shouldn't say God said. Why I say that? Because there are different interpretations. When you go to this pastor, when there are different doctrines, there are different. A lot of pastors have different ministration. They have different revelation. That's why I say it should be opinion based. I feel this candidate checks these boxes, and we have to separate pastors. They are also humans, right? They interpret the mouthpiece of God to us, to a point, and they can have their individual opinions, and it must not always be that of God's, right? They are men of God, but it's not that they are men regardless. And I feel they should give their opinion. Same way imams can give theirs, traditional rulers too. I mean, they are humans and they have that right too.
You know David Hunde, right?
Yeah, I know.
In fact, Hunde had a critique of pastors.
Yeah.
Because recently it has seemed like we've been going from one prophecy to the other, one vision to the other.
Right.
So Hunde, for him, came out to say, and I think I quite agree with him.
Yeah.
Came out to say that we have a number of situations where we must recognize that these pastors are firstly humans.
Exactly.
And most of them are very political.
Exactly.
Most of them have political leanings.
Yes.
And that can go a long way to influencing what they say.
Yeah.
So much so that it may not necessarily be God.
Yeah.
But I think for them, why would they come out to share their opinion? I think a pastor will come out to share his opinion in a church service where ordinarily most of us who go to church or many church members do not go to church to hear the pastor's opinion on that matter. Most of the time, people go to church to hear what God has to tell them. The pastor is meant to be the vehicle or the channel through which God passes the message to them. So when a pastor preaches, as much as he is a human being, the idea is God is talking to us through this man.
Right.
So when a pastor uses that platform, knowing that when he talks, people listen because
he has a lot of influence.
Yes. And then you come to share your opinion. I think that you are not just there to share your opinion. I think you are there to influence people. However, you may want to say that yes, because whatever you tell them there
carries a lot of weight.
Because you have a lot of people that listen to you and want to do
obey your word.
Obey your word. And so on that note, if you are a man of God, in fact, I heard it from a particular preacher. One preacher once said that a pastor or a man of God should not have an opinion to share with the public. That was what he said. I wish I can get his name. He said that a man of God, because you are now called a man of God, at all times, you must know that when you act, people look at you as acting by the instinct of God. And so it places a lot of responsibility on you to endeavor that you live your life. Such that your opinions should die, your thoughts should die. It should be God's thought, and if God doesn't tell anything, then you just shut up, and you don't really have to.
I understand where you're coming from. Since their opinion carries a lot of weight, and it's bound to influence a lot of people because people hang on, their every word, believing that, it's coming from God, regardless if they say it's their opinion. You're right. But honestly, I still feel like, given, like I said earlier, right? I said, given the point we're at in Nigeria right now, it's a defining moment. This election, unlike most, it's a very, very important one that, defines how our future elections and how our voting pattern is going to be. Because if we let, I don't want to sound political,
but
there's a candidate that has so many allegations and so many, crimes he's, accused of, and there are evidence to, support these allegations. In sinner crimes, such an individual should withdraw from the race, But we're in Nigeria. He is considered the front runner, if you're being honest. And I feel in that kind of situation, and there's also the aspect of the Muslim ticket, considering what the Christian, faiths and their members have suffered in the northern part of Nigeria. And recently, there was a bishop that was killed, right, in one of these, I can't remember the state. But I think when you put, the circumstances surrounding this particular election into question, you have to understand why some, pastors feel like they have to lend their voice to guide their members into making what they feel is the right decision. Because I don't want to say any decision is the right decision. I know it is, but that's my opinion, right? So I feel they feel compelled to say something. That's why some people are opting for parables. They don't want to be direct. Some people are, making it as vague as possible, that the right candidate to support, the candidate with the most, clear standing, allegation-free candidate. We all know who this person is, but they're trying to be as vague. But at the same time, I don't think being vague is helpful right now. We need to make a decisive, decision right now that would change, the whole political game.
They don't want to be vague because, they want to be vague because they don't want to be false tomorrow. They want to be vague because they don't want to fall in the bad books of whoever wins tomorrow. Because if you say candidate A is fake, is false, and then tomorrow he wins, what happens firstly is that you attend a fake pastor or what we prophesied wrongly and should not be believed. And his party should not see you, or some of his supporters may see you as
you're leaning towards a particular, you're being political.
Yeah, you're being political
with the church.
Which ordinarily. But that's also very interesting because historically the church has been very political. And so we is wrong through history to look at. I think if you look at the Bible, there were a lot of political attachments given to the prophecy of the birth of Jesus. And the history of the church, particularly the Old Testament, is quite a very political history.
Obviously,
the church had wars with other, the children of Israel had wars with other nations. There was the issue of leadership, the issue of governance, the issue of who should rule and who should not rule. In fact, Saul and David issue was a political issue, though it had God involved in it. So excluding pastors from it is somewhat wrong. Firstly, it's even not constitutional. Because it is their fundamental right to express their support or interest for any candidate through their freedom of speech. And it's part of their civil obligation to even go ahead to choose or pick a candidate. So the three candidates we have, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Peter Obi, Atiku Abubakar, what do you prefer?
I think, to me and to most people, they would say Peter Obi is the best candidate amongst the three.
That guy is sound.
I mean, it shouldn't be a debate, really. When it comes to competence, like credibility, capacity, it's clear, which is why it's troubling when you see people, arguing about, like, I get if we're arguing about from the religious component or tribal angle. I get it. Everyone wants their person to lead the country, which is why we find ourselves where we are. But when it comes to capacity, someone that possesses the right quality to lead our nation, I would say Peter Obi is the right man for the job.
What do you think is the right quality to lead a nation? Because when I listen to Peter Obi, what I see is, he's able to churn out a lot of figures.
Yeah.
He has an understanding of how a number of nations in our similar states tackle similar problems as well. But what do you think is the right? What convinces you about him that he will be the right person?
He has since it's been 8 months since he declared his intention, right? Over this past 8 months, right? He has shown he has the capacity to bring the nation together. Because whether you like it or not, we might not say it, but there's like a huge tension. We have the Igbo agitation on the one side. We have the Yorubas on the one side.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Northerners who don't want anyone to go anywhere. So, but
that's not true.
But it is, we have the Igbos. They want to have their own nation, right? The Yoruba, the Oduduwa. I think, what's the name again? I've forgotten the name. They have a group that wants to have their own country. The Northerners, well, they like the status quo. They like things remaining the way they are, which I understand. But Peter Obi, as a candidate, he has shown that he has the capacity to govern everybody, to create a form of unity, unify, if you will. When you look at the other candidates, because when I like talking about PDB, I like comparing to other candidates. When you look at the entire picture, Tinubu's main talking point about his candidacy is, it is my turn. It is not policy driven. It is not solution driven. It's all about, I've paid my dues. It's supposed to be my turn.
I have a copy of his manifesto. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen his manifesto. Have you seen Obi's manifesto?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's actually pretty interesting. It's about issues like the issues we have. It's not about like, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. About the problems we are facing.
Okay, so so if you go through Tinubu's manifesto, on it is not written Emilokon. Like
no, obviously it's not.
Because he has a number of things he has listed.
You're right.
In the various sectors that he will deal with as well.
Yeah.
And many persons who are for Obi, or maybe for the other candidate, seem not to, speak about it, and they seem to capitalize on.
Does he speak about it?
Okay, so if you listen to a number of his campaigns, when he came to River State, he didn't go about shouting his mouth on. He mentioned a number of things.
Obviously, he's not going to say that, and I get that. But I want you to get something right. When you talk about an individual running for office, right? You talk about his personal, traits and Tinubu in question, right? We don't know his name. His name is in doubt. Let's start from there. Tinubu, it's alleged that it's not his real name.
Okay, so but on his certificate it bears Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
No, you're missing the point. When there's a shadow of doubt about your name, first things first, you've brought a number of certificates.
Where's the doubt?
Let me get it. You brought a number of certificates that to identify that I went to school, and on one it bears female as gender. Are you aware?
Okay, so but female is not his name, it's a gender that could have been a typographical error.
No, that's what I'm saying. That there's been a number of instances. There's the issue of his name. There's the issue of where he's schooled.
I think it's not an issue where he's schooled.
It is. He said he's schooled here, but there's no one to verify.
He schooled in Chicago State University, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, and the certificate was identified to be a forged certificate. You've seen it. They brought out the original, what's it called, the certificate, like templates of the Chicago school, and the one Bola Ahmed Tinubu is presenting as a ticket. It is not the same. And they went to find out that the one he brought out, the template was on Pinterest.
Okay.
Pinterest is, Pinterest now, you just have picture.
It's a picture.
It's basically you can just go and take and edit and put it.
It's true.
He was found there.
Like really?
Really?
Okay.
So now we have the issue of people arguing that this is not his name. That's one issue, right? It's in doubt. We have his certification about going to school. It's in doubt. Okay, we need someone to verify that you went to the school. You must have at least one person to verify. There's none. And you have series of allegations of dealing in narcotics. And he said he worked with Deluit. I've forgotten the name of the company.
Yes,
right?
yes.
There's that. And he said he managed to amass, how much was it? I've forgotten the figure, but it was a lot of money. Where even though you are the CEO of that company, you cannot amass that much money.
I think that money was traced to someone else. I think the drug guy.
For laundering money.
Okay.
Right, what I'm saying is, like this guy should not even, he would have pulled out his candidacy. Because your candidacy is reading with so much controversy. There are questions about your person, your health. Tinubu has difficulty stringing 5 sentences together, let's be honest, without making, it's clear that he's too old. He's suffering from dementia.
Well, it could also be stress.
Come on now. When you cannot make a full sentence, even the Chatham housing interview, how many people meet, like when you ask about my policy, I should ask this person.
Okay, so I got a very interesting opinion on that one.
Right.
And the opinion was that government is a collective thing.
Right, and that's true.
And as much as the presidency during the election season can be seen as a one-man thing, indeed, the presidency and the governance is a collective thing.
Yeah.
And so a part of the challenge a number of leaders have is, as good as they are, when they have a team that does not work effectively, it hampers.
Yeah.
But when a team works effectively, when there's a working team, it turns out to be very well. Yeah. And I think an instance of that was during Obasanjo's time.
Right.
So he had a team that comprised of Chukwuma Charles Soludo.
Yeah.
He had Ngonzi Okoje-Iweala, Obiageli Ezekwesili, and it's credited to them that a lot of good decisions that helped the economy and then the banking industry came to be. And so it's also very important that a leader who is to be voted should also be such that can bring together a very good team. Yeah. And so one of the defenses I got for why he had persons around him in the Chatham House press briefing, or was it an interview, was also to showcase the team he was working with, to let you know that I have some capable hands with me. So, okay, so I don't know how you may want to see that, but I found it as a very interesting perspective as well.
You're not wrong when you say, leading is a teamwork. You need a good team for policy making and all of that, right? But when you're running for an office, people are voting in the individual, right? You need to be able to communicate to the voters who are voting for you your plans. Your inability to communicate that to us, you don't understand it. No one says you should explain it like an Ivy League, scholar. Explain to us, like in this particular sector, we're going to do this to solve this problem by introducing this. You don't have to go into details, right? Even the guy, I've forgotten his name, like the guy that usually does that Chatham House interview. He was asked, I think it was on Arise TV or so. He said it was the first time it has happened. Anyway, he said in all the interviews, presidential candidates, no one has actually had to refer questions asked to the presidential candidate and said, "Oh, ask my." It was the first time Bola Ahmed Tinubu was the first person when asked the question was directed to someone else, a presidential candidate. I mean, come on, it's clear, right? There's so many controversies, yeah. And when we even talk about Tinubu, they credit him with building Lagos, he built Lagos. But is that true though?
Okay, so a number of Christians, which you are,
Yeah,
his Muslim ticket thing is a problem. Why is the faith of these candidates so much of an issue, even to you Christians?
I think it is. It's very important. We live in a secular nation where there's more than one, religion being practiced in our country, right? And
so will you prefer the wrong guy to be there, so long as he's called a Christian? Or
I wouldn't want that. Okay.
Okay, so because competence can be competence may not necessarily be religious.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy for the job may not necessarily be a Christian. He may not even believe in some of the things you believe in.
Yeah.
But he may just be the right guy for the job.
Yeah. You're not wrong. And this is something that it's been done over the years. We've supported, voted other candidates that were not Christians because we had conviction and believed that this person is the right person for the job. I think the religious undertone is not particularly to say that this person must be a Christian, right? We have to look at the bigger picture, right? In this particularly this instance, this election cycle right now, we have Atiku, Tinubu, and Obi. If you ask me, and in my opinion, I feel Obi is the best candidate to be Nigeria's president, right? And he happens to be Christian. Okay, and fielding, let's talk about the Muslim ticket. That's an issue, right? Muslim ticket, yeah. If a presidential candidate is Muslim, and it's only fair, and it's all about religious representation, right? Your vice should be Christian to represent this other, huge parts of our country. The major religions in Nigeria is Christianity and Muslim.
Well, it can also be seen as a problem of bias here.
How
okay, so the fundamental problems bedeviling the country,
right?
One is a security problem,
right?
Two, an economic problem, right? Of course, the average Nigerian can relate with these two issues very well. Sure. Depending on your location, it can be more security than economic.
Yeah.
Or in some cases, more economic than security. But it summarizes the problems in this country.
Yeah.
And with regards to these two issues, which have such importance to the nation, I think who should be voted in should be based on who can tackle the problems of, like in economic power generation, job creation, employment, creation of industries, support for entrepreneurs, and then tackling the Boko Haram problem. And so, where does religion come in tackling these fundamental problems that affect us as a nation?
You're not wrong. And like I said, we have to look at the big picture, right? We have...
I don't think there's any picture bigger than this.
No, that's what I'm saying now. That's what I'm saying now. Like, we're using this cycle, this election cycle now. Yeah. We have Tinubu and Shettima, right? Shettima was the governor of Borno State, right?
Okay.
Right. This was the state that was the headquarters of the Boko Haram, terrorism. Basically, they had like a part of the states where they operated. Would you say this governor failed in securing his state, or he succeeded, or it was a success in
Okay, so I think one cannot hold Shetima totally responsible for that. And the reason one cannot do that is because the problem of terrorism is such that falls within
The exclusive,
the exclusive list.
Yeah.
And so the mobilization of the resources and manpower necessary to tackle insurgency is constitutionally out of the control of the government.
And I get that. Okay.
Yeah.
My point is, now, the subject is security, right? This happened in your state. I'm not saying he had the ability to solve this whole problem. I'm saying it's an indictment of his person. That this happened in your state and you really didn't do anything to solve this problem, although you made the point that it was not particularly in his control. So now, when you're talking about security, would this person be let's say if you were to choose an individual, you have a list of individuals and there's one who his state was overrun by terrorists. Would that be your number one choice?
Okay, so well, it depends. It depends on the factors at play here.
Okay.
It depends on the factors at play here. Ordinarily, it's a candidate who couldn't tackle the security challenges in the state already is a candidate that seems to have a red flag over him.
Exactly.
But then, the nature of the challenge in question too can also determine whether we should kick him out or we should see him differently. So terrorism is such that it has both local and international sponsorship.
Sure.
And it's such that in many nations it's being tackled at an international level. In the Middle East, we see that terrorism requires the cooperation of even the United Nations at times. So it's the case that it can even go beyond the president of a nation. And if this is what we are looking at, and then it becomes obvious that blaming a governor for not tackling something that has a lot of international cooperation in it as well, it's like blaming a child for not doing the job of many adults because of the limitation the person with the governor has. However, one can also say that the experience he had then in governing a state like that and the awareness of the inability he had then, even though he'll have had the right methods to go about it, places him in a position where today, if he comes into power, he will be having someone who is familiar with the enemy. And such familiarity with the enemy can be beneficial in fighting the enemy as well.
And there's other issue of he is also rumored to be in cahoots with this Boko Haram.
Do you have a defense for that?
No, I don't have evidence to suggest. I'm saying it's rumored.
There are many rumors.
That's what I'm saying.
In fact, there's a rumor that Peter Obi said
pictures. There are pictures, of course. Yeah, we hear that. What I'm saying that now there are pictures
so
saying
should we rely
him
on
dining. No. What I'm saying is like these are factors in deciding.
This is a factor in deciding whether we should pick Obi, that he is being associated with a group that wants to divide this country.
That's what I'm saying. And he's been asked several times.
And they all deny it.
Yes. But what I'm saying is that we have picture with this particular individual dining with
that picture has been discredited. In fact, I saw some 2 or 3 weeks ago, I came across a post that explained that picture was not. I think the guy's name should be Kabiru Sokoto, the Boko Haram guy. They claim Shetima was dining with. They said that picture was that of him dining with, was it some Muslim clerics or some persons some victims of Boko Haram also. Yes. And it was now being construed by some other persons to suggest that it was Kabiru Sokoto dining with Shetima. But in reality, it wasn't Kabiru Sokoto. And interestingly, anyone can still come out to disprove that because the faces are clear there. So if it happens that it's a wrong explanation given, they can come out. At the moment, I've not seen anybody come out to say that was wrong. But that was like 3-4 weeks ago.
The thing is, we cannot judge on the credibility of that particular incident. But what I'm saying is, like, I'm trying to let you know that these are things. The subject that we're talking about is about security, right?
But I have a challenge with the OB candidates.
Okay, what's that?
And it's somehow, I like, okay, so it is wrong to assume that humans, we don't have self-interest in whatever we are doing.
Sure.
And Obi is being presented to us as that savior who has no interest particularly or any benefit in mind to derive in the whole thing, except that he's there for Nigeria. So he's being presented as a candidate who is here for Nigeria. So it is Nigeria's turn. In contrast with the other candidate who says it is my turn. That's fucked up. Like that's fucked up hypocrisy. Yes, because we are moved first in many things we do by self-interest. You know, so coming out to suggest that in fact you are so made, you are so comfortable where you are. Right. Ordinarily, you wouldn't have done anything. You wouldn't have come into this, except that you saw the sufferings of many, and then you felt you were in a position to alleviate their suffering, and that's why you presented yourself, and giving the impression that you have really nothing to benefit there except general good. That to me that's hypocritical. And, that's deceit.
Why is this? Because has he shown any attributes to suggest otherwise? That it's purely not out of patriotism for his country, and he's seen, like, we all know that Nigeria has been retrogressing over the years, right? And he's not wrong. He's but
when you say Nigeria has been retrogressing, not totally. It depends on what metric you use.
That's what I'm saying. That, like, the people of Nigeria, let's use the one we can relate with, people are suffering. A lot of people are suffering, right? And if you ask the average Joe, okay, because you can ask an individual doing very well, but he's quite okay with the status quo, he doesn't have a problem. But the average Joe on the streets, they will tell you that Nigeria is hell right now. And that is fair for them to address Nigeria as hell right now. Because
things are tough.
Exactly. Now, what I'm saying is, you're saying he's hypocritical. And I'm saying why innocent, that because he has not done anything to suggest that, okay, he's actually not being patriotic by running for presidency, trying to change the direction of
so there's nothing wrong with being patriotic.
There's nothing wrong with
it. In fact, we have many patriots. Yeah. But there's something wrong in a person presenting himself, as you declare your interest in running for a race, and you suggest that you have no cuts in the cake. Like you have no interest particularly.
But how many campaigns do you know of where the candidate has said, I'm doing this for you people and I'm also doing it for me. I need a slice of that cake too.
Okay, so, and that was where I came to somewhat admire the courage of Tinubu, where he said, it is my turn. As annoying.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
Yeah.
When I saw the video, I was annoyed initially.
Okay.
But then I decided to keep away emotions and ask myself, did he lie? Okay. He didn't lie.
And you feel okay.
No, like he didn't lie.
Right, okay.
But now what is the lie in cases like that? The lie in cases like that is when you present yourself as one who is not there at all for any personal interest. I think that's the lie. But the truth can be, and I think that's the truth in many cases. The truth can be one, you are there for only yourself. Because the tendency for most people is to be self-centered.
Yeah.
Or the truth can be that you are there for yourself and also for the people. In whatever degree that may be. But it is not true that you are there not for yourself at all.
No, I asked you a question now. Yeah. I said, how many politicians have campaigned by saying, the simple saying, it's my turn. It's not a matter of being honest. He's stating that he has paid his dues.
Which indeed he has.
I'm not disagreeing with you that it is his turn.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Nigeria is a country of over 200 million people, right? I don't know if I got that figure right. It's not something you are given. You have to convince us, the electorate, to vote for you. So by saying it is your turn, you feel entitled to be the president of Nigeria. That's not how it works, right? Peter Obi has been addressing issues. That's why he has never, you've never seen an interview where he's attacking some other candidates. It's always other candidates attacking him. He's always policy driven. We have this issue. We have to do this. Nigeria is losing money. We have a spending problem. It's always solution. That's all his campaign. He's never done this whole dirty politics where he's calling this person this, name dropping, this person did this. He might mention an instance where something is done, but he won't call the name that we all know. Okay, my point is it's always policy driven. What we need, our problems, how to solve it. That's campaigning. Okay, the Obama campaign, it was the same thing. Yes, we can. Okay, Obama had personal interest. But when you're campaigning, you don't tell people you happen. Being a president of a country, it's a big deal. Okay, it's going to change your life and the lives of your families. Okay, there is that component in every person running for presidency. What's it called? That personal interest is always in there. Okay, but mainly why you're coming should be to serve, and that's what Peter Obi has established. He's coming to serve, to change the direction of the country, and he's basically, letting us know that he's hearing our cries. He knows what the common man is going through. Most of all these people, they have lost touch with reality. They don't know what we are going through. Tinubu did that interview. Recruit 50 million youths. Yeah, what do we feed them? Cassava, eba, ewa. Just imagine. He has lost touch with the reality of the common man. And why Peter Obi has been able to amass so much followership and support in a short period of time, because he relates to us. He sees our soul. When Peter Obi is having an interview, when he talks, people feel you can relate to him because he's coming from, this guy can see my pain. He sees the problem I'm going through. What are these other candidates talking about?
Okay, so well, Tito, I think this year we'll call it a day, and
right.
We'll have you next time on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Very much.